Warning: God said, stop doubting, this person is meant to be yours. The name will surprise you. Listen carefully. Before this moment passes, before your mind tries to explain this away, hear me. I did not come gently today. I came with urgency. I came because heaven is watching you hesitate, and God is not pleased with your doubt. You have been asking for signs, haven't you? Not once. Not casually. Again and again. You asked in silence. You asked in tears. You asked at night when no one could hear you whisper their name. And yet, when the answer began to form, you questioned it. You doubted it. You told yourself, maybe I'm imagining this. I am Archangel Michael, and I tell you now, this is not imagination. This is confirmation. God said, tell them to stop doubting. Not tomorrow. Not after one more sign. Now. Because the person you keep pushing away in your thoughts, the one you keep trying to rationalize out of your future, that person was not placed near you by accident. Heaven does not repeat itself without reason, and yet their presence has repeated. Their name has surfaced in ways you cannot explain. In conversations that weren't about love. In moments that had nothing to do with romance. In places where coincidence should not reach. And still, you doubt. Let me tell you something you were never meant to forget. Doubt does not mean you lack faith. Doubt means you are standing close to something that matters. God allowed the uncertainty because this connection carries weight. Destiny always feels heavy before it feels safe. That is why your heart reacts before your mind agrees. That is why you feel drawn even while trying to resist. That is why something inside you whispers, what if, even when logic screams, it can't be. But heaven is not asking for logic right now. Heaven is asking for trust. This person is meant to be yours, not because it will be easy, but because it will be true. Not because it will be perfect, but because it will awaken something in you that has been dormant for too long. God does not send comfortable connections when He wants transformation. He sends undeniable ones. You've noticed the timing, haven't you? How they appear when you are on the verge of letting go. How their energy returns when you finally say, I'm done hoping. That is not coincidence. That is alignment. And here is what you did not expect. The name will surprise you. Not because it is unfamiliar, but because it has already been near you. You dismissed it. You overlooked it. You told yourself, that can't be them. Yet God has a habit of choosing the unexpected vessel to deliver the destined bond. What feels unlikely to you feels precise to Him. I must warn you of this: if you continue to doubt, you will delay what is already moving toward you. Heaven will not force your free will. God will not drag you into love. But understand this: what is meant for you does not disappear. It waits. And waiting changes the path. Right now, there is a moment approaching where clarity will replace confusion. A moment when the truth about this person will rise without effort. A conversation. A message. A revelation. And when it happens, you will remember these words. Before that moment arrives, stay here. Do not scroll away. Do not ignore what you feel stirring. If this message is touching something deep inside you, that is not accident, it is resonance. Stay connected. Stay open. Let this word anchor you. And if your heart feels seen, let that be your quiet yes. Because what God is about to reveal next, about how this person feels, and why their name keeps returning, will challenge everything you thought you understood about timing. And once you hear it, you will never doubt the connection again. Do not rush past this moment. I need you still, because what I speak now is the part most people miss. This is where doubt tries one last time to disguise itself as wisdom. You told yourself you were being realistic. You said you were protecting your heart. You convinced yourself that letting go was maturity. But hear me clearly, what you called maturity was fear wearing a calm voice. God watched every time you said, if it's meant to be, it will happen without effort. And He said, yes, but effort is not force, and trust is not passivity. You were not wrong to step back. But you were wrong to close your heart. This connection was never meant to chase you. It was meant to meet you. That is why things felt stuck. That is why signs increased but movement slowed. Heaven was waiting for alignment, not surrender. Waiting for you to stop asking for proof and start allowing presence. Let me reveal something sacred. The reason this person feels so confusing is because the bond does not begin where most connections do. It does not start with attraction alone. It begins in recognition. That instant sense of, why do they feel familiar? The unspoken ease. The strange comfort even in silence. That familiarity frightened you. You wondered if it was nostalgia. You wondered if it was loneliness. You wondered if you were projecting hope where there was none. But God says, recognition is not imagination. It is memory of alignment. Some souls are introduced long before the timing is right. Not to start the story, but to mark it. To say, remember this feeling. You will return to it. That is why even distance could not erase them. That is why new people felt hollow by comparison. That is why their name lingered after conversations ended. And yes, their name. You thought the name was coincidence. You brushed it off when you heard it repeated. You smiled when it appeared in unexpected places. But inside, something tightened, because part of you already knew. The surprise is not that God chose that name. The surprise is that God chose someone so close to your blind spot. Someone you categorized incorrectly. Someone you underestimated. Someone you did not consider because they didn't arrive wrapped in fantasy. God often hides destiny behind familiarity so ego cannot interfere. Now listen, this is important. This person has been wrestling too. Not with doubt the same way you have, but with restraint. They felt the pull. They sensed the connection. But they chose patience over pursuit because they did not want to disrupt your process. Yes, they noticed your hesitation. Yes, they felt the pauses. Yes, they wondered if they imagined it too. And still, they did not walk away completely. Why? Because something in them recognizes you beyond logic. There is a moment approaching, closer than you think, where the dynamic shifts. Where uncertainty gives way to clarity. But it will not happen through dramatic confession or forced intensity. It will happen quietly. Naturally. Almost casually. A sentence will be spoken. A question will be asked. A truth will surface without pressure. And in that moment, you will feel it. Not excitement alone. Not fear alone. But a deep, grounding knowing. That is how divine confirmation feels. It does not shout, it settles. I must caution you here. Do not let pride disguise itself as self-respect. Do not let fear call itself boundaries. Do not let past wounds decide a future God has already blessed. You are not being asked to leap blindly. You are being asked to stay open. To respond instead of retreat. To allow the connection to breathe instead of suffocating it with overthinking. And if you are wondering, why now? Because delay has taught you discernment, but too much delay becomes resistance. God says, this is the moment where trust replaces testing. If you feel something stirring as you hear this, that is not emotion alone. That is readiness. Stay present. Let this word anchor you. And if this message resonates, stay connected, because what is about to unfold next is not just about who this person is. It is about what changes once you finally stop doubting. And when I reveal what heaven has already set in motion, what is happening behind the scenes while you wait, you will understand why the timing could not have been any earlier. Do not miss what comes next. Stay with me. Because now we move from understanding to revelation. What you are feeling lately, the subtle restlessness, the sense that something is aligning even though nothing obvious has changed, that is not anxiety. That is movement. Spiritual movement often begins long before physical proof appears. Heaven shifts first. Earth follows later. God did not speak this word to you to comfort you. He spoke it to position you. There is a divine order unfolding, and you are standing at the threshold of it. The reason doubt felt louder recently is because doubt always protests just before it loses power. Fear argues hardest when it knows its time is short. Let me tell you what has already begun. Behind the scenes, conversations are happening that you cannot hear. Thoughts are forming in places you cannot see. God is arranging encounters, timing, and circumstances with precision, not haste, not delay. Precision. You thought nothing was happening. But heaven has been busy. This person has reached a moment of internal clarity. Something shifted for them recently, a realization, an emotional awakening, a quiet decision. They stopped asking themselves, what if, and started asking, why not? And do you know what triggered it? You. Not something you said. Not something you did deliberately. But something you embody. Your restraint. Your depth. Your silence where others would demand attention. It made them reflect. It made them reconsider what connection actually means. You did not chase, and that showed them value. You did not force, and that revealed safety. This is why God says, stop doubting. Because the connection is already influencing reality. But here is the part you must hear carefully. The next phase requires participation, not observation. You cannot stay hidden behind intuition forever. Discernment was necessary, yes, but now it must turn into presence. Not pursuit. Presence. Responding when you are reached. Speaking when silence would be easier. Allowing warmth instead of emotional neutrality. God is not asking you to confess feelings. He is asking you to allow alignment. There is a window opening, a narrow one. It does not demand perfection, but it does require honesty. And in this window, small choices will carry great weight. A delayed reply could delay momentum. A guarded response could mute clarity. A moment of courage could unlock everything. Do not underestimate subtlety. God often works through what seems ordinary to activate what is extraordinary. Now about the name. You are expecting the surprise to come from rarity. But the surprise comes from recognition. When the name becomes undeniable, when it is spoken with intention, not coincidence, you will realize it was never about shock. It was about confirmation. About realizing that the answer was closer than you allowed yourself to believe. The name has meaning beyond the person. It carries symbolism tied to strength, protection, or restoration. It connects to a season of your life where you learned resilience. That is not random. God chooses vessels whose very identity mirrors the purpose of the connection. This bond is not meant to rescue you. It is meant to walk beside you. That is why it feels balanced. That is why it does not overwhelm. That is why it feels steady instead of intoxicating. True divine connections calm the nervous system before they excite the heart. I need to warn you of something gently. Do not compare this unfolding to past relationships. This is not repetition, it is refinement. Where others tested you, this one steadies you. Where others demanded proof, this one offers consistency. Where others created chaos, this one brings clarity. But clarity can feel unfamiliar when you are used to intensity. So if part of you wonders, why doesn't this feel dramatic? It is because peace does not announce itself the way pain does. God says, what I am giving you will not steal your sleep. It will restore it. Now listen closely. There will be a moment soon, unexpected, unforced, where you are faced with a choice. Not a grand declaration. A subtle opening. An invitation to engage at a deeper level. When it comes, do not analyze it to death. Do not wait for certainty to feel comfortable. Certainty comes after alignment, not before. Trust what feels grounded. Trust what does not demand performance. Trust what allows you to be fully yourself without shrinking. And if this message is resonating, if something inside you feels both exposed and calm, stay close. Stay open. Let yourself be seen. Because what I reveal next, about the turning point that seals this connection, and the exact moment doubt finally loses its grip, will change how you see everything that has happened so far. You are closer than you think. Do not pull away now. This is where heaven leans in. What is unfolding is not loud, not rushed, not dramatic, and that is exactly why you must stay alert. Divine shifts rarely announce themselves with chaos. They arrive quietly, asking one question: will you recognize me when I move softly? God is not testing your patience anymore. He is observing your readiness. You have already proven you can wait. You have already proven you can endure uncertainty. Now the question is different: can you receive without suspicion? Because here is the truth you have not fully faced yet: part of your doubt is not about this person at all. It is about whether you are allowed to have something good without struggle. You learned love through effort. You learned attachment through endurance. You learned connection through proving your worth. So when something arrives that does not require self-betrayal, your instincts hesitate. But heaven does not confuse peace with absence. This person's role in your life is not to drain you. It is to mirror your growth. That is why the energy feels equal. That is why there is no chase. That is why silence feels safe rather than punishing. And yes, God notices that you keep waiting for the other shoe to drop. Let me speak to that fear directly. This connection is protected. Not protected from challenge, but protected from destruction. Protected from misunderstanding spirals. Protected from unnecessary loss. You are not being handed something fragile. You are being entrusted with something resilient. That is why God says, stop doubting. Because doubt is the only thing that can distort what is otherwise aligned. Now hear this carefully. The turning point you are approaching will not be marked by fireworks. It will be marked by choice. A moment where you either step forward emotionally, or retreat back into safe detachment. It may look simple on the surface. A longer conversation than usual. An invitation that carries intention. A question that reveals vulnerability. Do not underestimate how sacred that moment is. Heaven has already accounted for timing. What it will not override is your will. And the person connected to you, they are watching not with expectation, but with openness. They are not demanding reassurance. They are offering space. But space, if left unentered, becomes distance. This is where your awareness matters. God is not asking you to rush into certainty. He is asking you to stop treating possibility like danger. Let me reveal something most never hear. When a connection is truly ordained, resistance does not come from obstacles, it comes from self-protection. That is why everything external seems calm while your internal world debates. You are not blocked. You are on the edge. And the edge feels unstable only because you are used to standing far back. Now about the name again, because this is where your confirmation sharpens. You will not hear it shouted. You will hear it spoken with intention. The tone will change. The context will deepen. The name will no longer float in coincidence, it will anchor itself in meaning. When that happens, something in your body will respond before your thoughts catch up. That is your sign. Not butterflies. Not racing thoughts. A sense of grounding. If you feel peace in the presence of truth, that is divine alignment. Now I must caution you, this is important. Do not share this unfolding with those who do not understand stillness. Not everyone has the discernment to recognize sacred timing. Some will project fear. Some will call patience passivity. Some will label calm as boredom. Guard what God is building quietly. This connection does not need witnesses yet. It needs nurture. God is not forming a spectacle. He is forming a foundation. And if you are wondering whether this person truly sees you, yes, they do. They see beyond performance. They sense your depth. They feel the weight of your silence and respect it. They are not intimidated by your strength. They are drawn to your authenticity. But they will not force the door. Love that is meant for you will always honor your pace. Now let me speak this over you. You are not late. You are not mistaken. You are not reading into nothing. You are standing in the moment where faith stops asking for reassurance and starts allowing unfolding. Stay present. Stay responsive. Stay open. If this message feels like it is speaking directly into your situation, let that resonance keep you here. Stay connected. Let this word sink deeper. Because what I reveal next, the final shift, the confirmation that leaves no room for doubt, the moment heaven brings clarity into the physical, will answer the one question you have been afraid to ask. What happens after I stop doubting? Do not miss what comes next. Stay with me, this is the moment everything settles into place. You have reached the point where heaven no longer whispers. It confirms. What happens after you stop doubting is not chaos, not confusion, not loss of control. What happens is movement. Clean. Steady. Unmistakable movement. The kind that does not rush you, but carries you. God does not reward doubt with answers. He rewards trust with alignment. And alignment is already forming around you. Once you stop questioning whether this connection is real, you will notice something subtle but powerful. Effort disappears. Conversations flow without strategy. Timing stops feeling forced. You no longer replay words in your head wondering what they meant, because meaning becomes clear in the moment. That is the sign you have crossed the threshold. This person will not suddenly transform into someone else. They will simply step forward. With clarity. With intention. With presence. And when they do, it will not feel shocking, it will feel right. Like something that has been waiting patiently for permission. Do you know why God had to tell you to stop doubting? Because doubt was the final gatekeeper. Not circumstances. Not distance. Not timing. Your hesitation was the only thing left that could delay what was already ordained. Once that hesitation loosens, everything accelerates, but gently. Naturally. Without pressure. Now hear this clearly. The confirmation you seek will arrive in physical form. Not just emotion. Not just intuition. Reality will echo what heaven has already declared. A conversation that leaves no ambiguity. An action that speaks louder than words. A choice made openly. You will not have to guess. And the name, yes, the name, will land differently now. When you hear it, it will no longer trigger confusion. It will trigger recognition. Not excitement alone, but acceptance. You will think, of course. Because hindsight will reveal what doubt once hid, that God was consistent from the beginning. The repetition was not coincidence. The timing was not delay. The calm was not absence. It was preparation. Let me speak to the fear you haven't admitted yet. You are afraid that if you trust this, you will lose control. But what God is offering does not require control, it requires participation. You will not disappear in this connection. You will not diminish. You will expand. This person does not compete with your purpose. They align with it. That is why the bond feels steady instead of consuming. That is why it does not distract you from who you are, it supports it. God does not send destiny to derail you. He sends it to walk with you. And now, this is important, once you step into trust, old patterns will try to reassert themselves. Doubt may whisper again. Not as fear, but as logic. As, what if? As, maybe I should wait a little longer. That is when you remember this moment. You were not brought this far to retreat back into questioning. You were brought here to receive. So when clarity appears, do not dilute it. When peace arrives, do not interrogate it. When love presents itself calmly, do not mistake it for lack of passion. Peace is not the absence of depth. Peace is depth that does not hurt. And God says, "This is what I have chosen for you." Now listen to me one final time. You will not miss what is meant for you when you are willing to stay present. You will not lose what is aligned by trusting it. And you will not regret choosing faith over fear in this moment. This message reached you because heaven wanted to steady your heart before the confirmation arrives. Stay open. Stay receptive. Stay anchored. And if something in you feels seen, affirmed, and grounded right now, hold on to that. Let it guide your next response. Your next choice. Your next yes. Because very soon, when this connection steps fully into your life, you will look back and realize God was never asking you to chase. He was asking you to believe. And once you did, everything changed.